Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the city of peace, the city upon which Yahweh had placed his name, from which his anointed one ruled, the city housing the temple of the one true God. Now, a city besieged, a city conquered, a city aflame, her king and her governmental institutions done away with. The temple destroyed, her priest exiled, her people exiled to Babylon. Oh, how she has come to sit solitary, the city that was abundant with people. How she has become like a widow, she that was populous among the nations. Rainier Alberts, author of the book Israel in Exile, the history and literature of the 6th century BCE, said this: "It is simply a catastrophe, indeed the ultimate catastrophe, or, put theologically, the judgment of Yahweh upon his disobedient people." What year did Rainier Alberts date this ultimate catastrophe to? Early on in his work, on page 2, he sets precedent by stating that the destruction of Jerusalem and the final elimination of Judah as a state occurred in the year 587, 586 BCE. And he is not alone in this assessment. Go to any library, check any respected reference work, encyclopedia, or history book regarding the destruction of Jerusalem, and the year 587 or 586 BC will come up again and again. Go to any university or college and inquire with the professors and researchers in this field, and they will tell you the same thing. Among scholars and historians, this date is not in dispute. However, that does not mean that everyone accepts the date of 587 BCE. Far outside the academic arena, there exists a group of religious leaders and those that follow them who teach that Jerusalem was destroyed not in 587 BC, but 20 years earlier in 607 BCE. In fact, their whole theology, their whole framework of Bible interpretation depends upon this. Without compromise, they teach an alternative chronology to the one accepted by the overwhelming consensus of historians, archeologists, Jewish and Christian theologians, and other scholars who point to around the year 587 BCE. In defense of the 607 chronology, they do quote from scholars and cite from reference works, but they cannot produce a single academic who accepts the 607 date. Not even one. Of course, popular consensus by experts and a body of knowledge by itself does not prove a matter right or wrong. Many times has conventional thinking been overturned by new discoveries. For example, prior to the 1990s, many astronomers assumed that gravity was slowing the expansion of the universe. It came as a total surprise when they discovered just the opposite, that the universe was expanding faster and faster. The key is not relying on popular consensus alone, but upon examining the evidence, free from any preconceived bias, and to follow the trail of facts no matter where they may lead. The purpose of this series is not for viewers to take our word for it, or to let the series do the thinking for them, but rather to spur them on to make their own personal examination of the matter, for them to do the mental heavy lifting for themselves, both in regard to the Bible's standpoint and the standpoint of the historical evidence.